Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and it is early January, and we've got some kind of fun birding updates here for you. As always, we love to know what kind of things you may have seen if you are out and about birding, what kind of birds are in your backyard, or if you have any questions, you can put those in the comments or just say hi. But we'll get started here. So first of all, I mentioned on Saturday that I had just joined the Winter Birding Challenge through Buffalo Audubon, and that has kind of inspired me to go out a little bit, including this weekend. On Sunday, I was able to go out to Mendon Ponds Park, which is a local park around here, because there's been a couple of rare birds spotted in this area at the Quaker Pond, around the Quaker Pond area, and what's called the Bird Pond. If you're familiar with Mendon Ponds Park, you know that it's well known for the Birdsong Trail, which is a trail where you can go and feed birds like chickadees and titmice and nuthatches right out of your hand. They'll eat the birdseed right out of your hand, the black whale sunflower, the peanuts. But then there's also another location at Mendon Ponds besides Birdsong Trail that you can go to, which has been labeled here the Bird Pond. It's a nice little pond. There's a bench there. There's a couple bird feeders, and there's always a ton of birds there. But what else has been spotted in that area are a couple of Virginia rail. So the Virginia rail has been spotted both in the Quaker Pond area by the stream, where the stream is coming into the pond. But when I went on Sunday here at Quaker Pond, didn't see any I didn't see any of the Virginia rail there, but then going back towards where I started, towards the bird pond, there was the Virginia rail sitting there, kind of walking around in the water, foraging. So this is a really cool rare bird that has been spotted in the area. And although it is a rare bird, it's not uncommon for them to be here in the winter, to be spotted about once a year or so in the winter. The Virginia rail will show up, and actually there were two spotted there at one point. I only saw the one, but this was a really cool sighting. So if you are local and you live around Mendon Ponds Park, or you're able to go visit, would highly suggest going out to see this cool bird foraging in the winter time here. So this is the Virginia rail. Usually they're spending winter further south, but we are kind of in the area, the Great Lakes area is a spot where some of them are known to be year round. So really cool sighting there. Something else that's been seen in that same spot, the same pond, is an American bittern. I unfortunately didn't get to see it when I was there. It had eluded me, but it had been there earlier in the morning, I guess. But an American bittern has also been hanging out there too. So you can get a couple really cool birds in one spot. Another thing I got to see that was around that bird pond, if you can kind of squint and look in closely, there's a little bird here, and it was a yellow-rumped warbler. I'd never seen a yellow-rumped warbler in the winter. I know that sometimes you can find them around, but this is my first time ever seeing one in the winter time. So we talk about them a lot in the spring when it is migration season, and there are a lot of them around, but then there's also some that will overwinter. And I looked up on eBird, and there's kind of scattered reports of them in the area, but there was one hanging out there along the bird pond, along the Quaker Pond Trail. So there was some cool sightings that I had this weekend. And part of the Winter Birding Challenge, one thing I was able to check off was to find an American tree sparrow. There were several of those hanging out underneath the bird feeders, having some bird seed. So that was a really easy one to check off. There was a lot of American tree sparrow. There was white-throated sparrow. There were the dark-eyed juncos. There are a ton of cardinals and bluebirds, or blue jays, excuse me. So really cool birds that were over there in that area. So the next thing that I'm going to venture out for is to look for some waterfowl, to do some of the waterfowl challenges. And here's some of the different waterfowl that have been seen around lately. Of course, there's the Canada goose. Some of them will migrate south through the winter. Some of them stay here all winter long. There's also a couple of different swans. There's the mute swan, which is the introduced swan species that we do have here all year round. But then also in the winter, we get tundra swan, and there have been several reports of tundra swan in the area. And then, of course, the mallard duck. Probably very familiar with the mallard duck, but then some other duck species that people are seeing around are going to be things like black duck. And this black duck might look a lot like the female mallard, but if you look at the wing of the black duck when it's in flight, you can see that there's no white on the wing. The mallards, where they have that blue patch on their wing, it has a black border and then it's a white border on the outside. The American black duck don't have that white border on their wings. So that's one way to tell that you've got yourself a black duck. So there's been black duck seen around, redhead, really gorgeous bird here, gorgeous duck, greater and lesser scaup, so two different species there, and scoters, some white-winged scoter. You can also find black scoter around here. You can sometimes find some surf scoter, so some different waterfowl species there. And probably what I think is the most interesting and beautiful duck that we get in the wintertime is the long-tailed duck. So they are down here for the wintertime. You can see their range map on the left. The orange is where they spend their spring and summer. So here in Western New York, or you might have them down where you are too, this is south for them for the winter. So really cool duck that we get in the winter months. There's also things like goldeneye being seen and mergansers. There's the common merganser, there's the red-breasted merganser, there's hooded merganser. So some different waterfowl that you can see out this time of the year. And if you've got your bird feeders up, there's lots of different birds coming to those too, especially with the snow cover, and it can be a little bit harder for the birds to forage and find food, so they might be coming to your bird feeders a little bit more often. I personally get a ton of house sparrows. I've been seeing lots of house sparrows, but some other sparrows you might get are things like the white-throated sparrow. There's been a little bit of white crowned sparrow in the area also, and then dark-eyed junco, pretty common bird for the wintertime. And the northern cardinal, they absolutely love the black oil sunflower seed. They love the safflower seed. And if you put out safflower seed, you might not get as many birds like the starlings. If you have European starlings that are raiding your bird feeders, you can always put out the safflower seed as a way to get some colorful birds like the cardinals, but it's not a favorite of the starlings. So the starlings don't really like that type of seed. So they are all out there. They're all coming to feeders. Red-bellied woodpecker. We've got northern flicker, pileated woodpecker, downy woodpecker, hairy woodpecker. And actually, while I was out birding, I even saw a yellow-bellied sapsucker, which was really exciting too. So you never know what you might find out in your yard or at your feeders. I've been getting a lot of white-breasted nuthatches at my feeders too. They are coming and grabbing peanuts and then flying away with them, probably hatching them away like their name suggests. But there's white-breasted nuthatch out there, and there are lots of red-breasted nuthatch out this year too. So pretty good diversity that you can get at your backyard feeders. If you've got black oil sunflower seed or especially peanuts, the black-capped chickadees love the peanuts, and so do the tufted titmouse. So you can definitely get, even in the wintertime, a really good diversity of birds coming to your feeders. Lots of house finches out there, and in the winters, sometimes people tend to get more purple finches. Both of them have been seen locally. And then the pine siskin too, which you might get at your Niger feeders along with the American goldfinch. So as you can see, there is a lot of different birds that you can still get, even though it is the winter time, including things like these turkeys that Karen had sent the picture of in the backyard here, foraging underneath the feeders. So you never know. It's not just the songbirds. You might get things like turkey. If you've got bird houses out, as we go on later on in the month and getting on into February, you might start to see things like bluebirds or other species of birds checking out those houses, getting ready for the nesting season, checking out some different nesting cavities. So bluebirds are cavity nesters, and they're one of our earliest nesting songbirds. So sometimes, depending on the winter, if it's a mild winter, they might start nesting as early as March, although usually it's around April. And their relative, the American robin, is also in the area, although not in huge numbers. They are around, especially if they can find trees that are berry producing. Same as the cedar waxwing, which loves trees with berries. So, other birds to look out for are things like birds of prey. I had a nice big red-tailed hawk in my backyard yesterday, which was pretty exciting to see. Red-tailed hawks are our most common hawk. They are here year-round, very common. They're not your most common backyard hawk, although because they are so common, you might see them flying around, passing through the area, which I think the one in my yard was doing. They will go after larger prey items like bunnies and squirrels. And what you're most likely to see in your backyard are going to be things like Cooper's hawk, which, if you have bird feeders out, will sometimes prey upon those songbirds at your bird feeders. One of our winter hawks that we do get in the area, and there have been some more reports of them, are going to be things like the rough-legged hawk, which is a northern species that, just like those long-tailed ducks, comes down here for the wintertime. And there's been some owl activity too. The short-eared owls have been very reliably seen down in Avon and Geneseo. So this is a really cool bird to go out and watch them hunting over the fields for their prey items. And depending on what time you get there to watch them, if it's in the morning hours, you might see the northern harriers that are out earlier in the day before those short-eared owls come out. Things like this male northern harrier or the female northern harrier are commonly seen flying low over fields or even marshes as they hunt for their food. And finally, I should also report that for a while we've been saying there's not any snowy owls being seen, no real reports, nothing significant of snowy owls, but that changed over the weekend. There has been a report of a snowy owl at the Finger Lakes Airport, which is the place that is a pretty reliable spot to go see the snowy owls when they are around in season. And just over the past weekend, there was one seen. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. But if you're trying to get your snowy owl fix in, that might be the place to go. So thank you guys for watching, and Happy New Year from all of us at the Birdhouse. We are back to our normal hours, which are Monday through Saturday, 9 till 6, and Sunday, 9 till 5. Thank you guys for all shopping here during the holiday season. We still have our holiday things. What we have left is all 50% off. So we've got that sale going on through the weekend, and we are busy planning for the year ahead. So we've got some really fun things that we are planning for this year, including bringing Stan Tequila back into town, who's the author of the Birds of New York book and hundreds of other books, who's always a really big hit. He'll be here in November, so keep an eye out for that. We'll be releasing those dates soon and his talk. So we've got lots of fun stuff on the horizon for the year. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back on Saturday with another broadcast. And until then, enjoy your birds. Get out there birding. Send us your photos. We'd love to see what kind of birds you're seeing. And we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.